Hey, it's your hospitality friend Glenn here, and I may be solo, but hey, I might be coming to your casa.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to No Vacancy Live. I, of course, am Glenn Hausman, your fearless podcast host. Fearless, why? Because nothing that comes out in this hospitality industry is going to scare me. No, not even great new ideas like the one we're going to be showcasing today. But before we go, I want to tell everybody at 4 p.m. Eastern time on my No Vacancy page, I'm doing a really cool, fast-paced 30-minute session with Nicholas DeMasi. He's the SVP of Food and Beverage with SH Hotels. You know them as One Hotels, Treehouse Hotels, Baccarat Hotels, on how to really make more money during banquet season, right? We really want to get those sales up because you can't fit more people in the room, but you can certainly figure out a way to get them to pay more money per person. So that's going to be great. Real fun ideas are going to come out of that. Also, right after you watch that, check out my friend Anthony. You know him from our show over here. Hotel All-Stars is debuting on YouTube this afternoon, so I'd love for you to check that out and subscribe to that page as well. Hey, Daniel Sup, I am so sorry about Friday and that I can't do the show. I feel horribly guilty. But Daniel's going to be coming on our Friday night audit show, Fridays at 5 p.m. Not this week, not next week, but then we'll be back the week after that. All right, I'm a little bit all over the place, and that probably has to do with the fact that I'm super excited because one of the things that I love to do on this show, that reminds me, thank you, International Hospitality Institute, for once again naming us the #1 podcast in hospitality and for naming yours truly here, little old Glenny Glenn here, #1 social media influencer. It means so much to me, and I really appreciate all of you out there for engaging with the content we put out there because our goal is to educate, empower, and hopefully entertain every once in a while. And that's what today's show is going to be about, educating you on cool new things that are happening in the hospitality industry. And you all know everybody's been all crazy for Cocoa Puffs over alternative lodging. And one company that I found really fascinating is called Kasa. That's Kasa. And let's bring on Roman Pedan, founder and CEO. Roman, great to see you, man.
Great to see you, Glenn. Thank you for spelling it out. And I agree. Mi casa es su casa. Great to see you.
Yes, because I made the casa thing at that bad joke at the beginning. I wanted to make sure for our audio only audience, they knew where to go. Now, audio listeners out there, be sure you check out the video for this show because we've got a lot of great slides that we're going to be talking about as well. Roman, great to see you. Love that you're wearing the Casa swag on the show. First of all, that's good marketing right there, buddy.
It's to remind myself where I work and what we're building. So I got it. You have when you're on the show. There's video. Every little advantage a company that's building and innovating in the sector can get, and hopefully your listeners go to casa.com and check us out.
And again, that's with a K. So the whole idea behind Kasa, according to you guys, a curated collection of apartments, hotels, homes, powered by tech-enabled hospitality. All right. What does that really mean as far as our audience should care?
So what you just said is what meets the eye. It's kind of what's above the surface of the iceberg. It's the consumer brand that a lot of folks who are traveling have increasingly wanted. It's that combination of Airbnb and Marriott, the consistency and trust of Marriott and the modern hospitality of Airbnb. What I mean by that is people who stay with us, they have a digitally forward experience. They check in on their phone. There's a virtual front desk where instead of going to a front desk at a hotel, they upload their ID and selfie. They get step-by-step instructions on getting from their Uber and car to go to their casa, to their unit. But that's what's above the surface.
I'll tell you from the above the surface, that's pretty easy stuff because I did that with a car rental agency, for example. And though I haven't stayed with you, what it allowed me to do with the car agency then is just go straight to spot 24 and get in the car and go. So you got the same kind of idea there.
Same kind of idea, but you know what's interesting? That's what you do at a car agency. That's also kind of the default when you go to the airport. You have your mobile boarding pass. You don't, and this is in the visual kind of the virtual front desk as you're uploading your ID and your selfie. But you do that at the airport. You have your mobile boarding pass. You go straight to the gate. Very few people are standing in line if they're not checking in luggage. And yet the default at a hotel, though many support self check-in, is to go to the front desk. Like I would bet 95% of guests still go to the front desk. With us, just about everyone checks.
Right, Roman, it's so bad that even if I see the self check-in machines there and there's no one at them, for some reason I'm suspicious of them because there's nobody at them.
100%. It's like a Potemkin village of self check-in. You support it, but if no one uses it, is it really even? Because that has been our only option. We were forced to make it seamless, whether you're booking through the GDS, you're a corporate traveler, you're booking on Expedia, Airbnb, or otherwise. And so just about 100% of our guests go through self check-in.
All right. So the question I had for you when we were planning this show was, yeah, that's great on one hand, but then aren't you losing control over customer experience?
Yeah, it's something that we, in building Kasa, have been really intentional about, and we're very paranoid about at the start. And I'm a big lover of folks who've built great brands and experiences before us. So we admire Izzy Sharp, we admire Danny Meyer, a different form of hospitality. Chip Conley. Danny Meyer actually came onto our all hands and coined something that we use very frequently. He said something like to the effect of high tech does not mean low service. And in fact, we think it means high service. We remove that administrative element of the stay where you have to check in to the front desk kind of to fill out forms and free up our team to deliver proactive hospitality.
Let me just drop what I think I'm hearing over here. So I think one of the fundamental problems that the front desk experience has is they're not utilizing it in the proper way to really create a sense of customer engagement. Rather, it's more of a transactional type of a moment that doesn't really set the bar to anything substantial when it comes to creating customer service. Best case scenario is the customer forgets that they even went to the front desk. So you're saying now, let's get rid of that whole notion. We're really starting at zero. How can we then build customer service on top of that?
That's right. Our team is still there. They know who's checking in. They actually, because all of the interactions with Kasa are digitally instead of analog with a front desk where you can't really capture all the conversations with the guest. We remember that last time you stayed with us, Glenn, you might have asked for a specific coffee shop nearby or extra pillow or asked for something, asked for something for your kids in the room. And proactively for your next stay, because we remember that that you asked for it in your previous stay, our team will endeavor to deliver on that and maybe leave a special note for you to remind you that we really care about your stay and want to make it as seamless as possible, or sort of hospitality that is rarely seen but always felt. It's the felt part that people really care about when they stay.
Absolutely. And it's the people that help you feel something. And that's why on this show, I go time and time and time again about how essential it is to have that feeling behind everything. Because we don't remember the specifics of a lot of stuff. We remember how places make us feel. Right, Roman?
100%. 100%. And we've been working we're almost 10 years in. So it takes a while to really get the boulders start roll downhill and like build all the foundation of that system. It's not easy to deliver self check-in effectively, to make everything digitally enabled, but we're now really delivering on that felt experience.
Okay, so how is this fundamentally different with the types of units that you have that people would not be maybe that are different than the traditional hotel experience, and why you fit into that alternative kind of category?
Yeah, so we have two types of properties that are the majority of our inventory. One are where we started, which is apartment style inventory. It's a floor or multiple floors of a apartment building or the entire apartment property. And the second are boutique hotels, anywhere from 10 rooms to 200 50 rooms where we operate the entire property. The difference is in one, there's a kitchen and living room and maybe multiple bedrooms. And in the other, it's a smaller unit format, more boutique in nature type property.
So how are you keeping that kind of clear for consumers that are looking to stay in one of your types of properties?
On all distribution channels, and we list across
Yep.
46 channels, Expedia, Booking.com. We list on Airbnb and Vrbo, especially for those apartment style properties. Folks want to find us there. We're on the global distribution system, et cetera. We are very clear that a property is apartment style or hotel style. We also, if it's a home style property, we'll share that too. And our hypothesis that has been proven out is that the same traveler wants a different style property for different trip types. You're traveling with your friends and family, you want an apartment style because you need more space. You're traveling by yourself in a business trip, you're looking for a hotel style property. And so we can serve you for multiple trip types across many of your travels.
Yeah, for sure. Roman, you are most definitely speaking my language when it comes to this, because I think one of the challenges that the major hotel companies that we all know and love has had was really understanding why I'm in your hotel for that particular time. And they don't seem to be able to capture that information or be able to leverage past stays to understand that every single mid-March when I'm at the Hilton Atlanta downtown, I'm there for the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference, right? They should know that. And they should know when I'm somewhere else in Orlando that maybe I'm doing a little work and then I'm going to go do something with my family for a few days.
100%. And that data not only helps them serve you better, but also more efficiently. So it helps owners of the properties generate a more efficient bottom line profit margin, but it also helps create an affinity to the brand. So and there's some reason why they're not doing it. They're not capturing all of that data. So when you talk to the front desk physically, no one is writing down into a centralized CRM what you shared with the front desk. You might have said to them, I'm here for the Hunter conference.
Totally.
But that isn't going into any system. No. Whereas with us, every interaction is digital. You're texting us, you're emailing us, you're calling us. Even the calls are transcribed, and we remove the kind of data to understanding what was the purpose of your stay, and kind of help us serve you better for future.
Roman, I'm getting word from the Globe that they're getting tired of looking at us. So let's pull up another slide up there. Dave, you wanted to go back to the value proposition slide for us? And yes, producer Dave's behind the scenes today while Dr. Producer Suzanne is on an expedition with her family. All right. So this is the Lantern Hotel. Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at over here.
So this is actual before and after at a property in New York City that we operate. It's a smaller boutique hotel in one of the hardest markets to generate margin in, New York City. This property is in the Lower East Side. It has 20 rooms. This is an example, trailing 12 GOP margin that we generated at that property. And it's an example, but it is sort of the margin profile of our operation across the US. Sort of, if you can make it in New York, you can, what's that quote? You can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah, but it's up to you, New York.
That's right. That's right. Well, the labor costs here are high. The regulations are difficult. It's a tough market to make it work in, and yet we're generating the 70%. It hovers between 67% and 71% GOP margin with a lot less fixed cost load. And that really is, when I said the above the surface is that consumer experience that's very familiar to consumers, but very familiar because it's the way you work with anything today, whether it's Uber or airline or car rentals, but it's actually quite different from the default hotel experience. The real magic is below the surface of the iceberg, where we've built an operating system that fundamentally improves the profitability of operating hospitality properties. And primarily that's by lowering the cost structure. So that's what that value proposition shows.
Dave, I know you just took it off, but I'm going to bring it back up. How do you do 41% GOP without you and 70% GOP? Where's that near 30% coming from?
Yeah, so that I was an early team member. KR's real estate group, invested across hospitality, multifamily, was at Walton Street Capital before that. So we had our investor hat on and was always frustrated with the inefficiency of we essentially quite literally went line by line of a hotel P&L and did one of three things to every line. We looked to optimize each one. We either eliminated the line altogether, so that's the front desk.
Yep.
We also clean once and stay versus once a night for our guests, so you can pay for additional cleans if you'd like. And we either eliminated it, we centralized it, or we automated it. Automated things like finance and accounting, the non-sexy stuff that takes up cost, but it can be done more efficiently. Centralized elements like housekeeping management. I can talk through that. That probably is surprising to some listeners. But also things like revenue management, corporate and group sales, accounting and finance. So we either automated, centralized, or eliminated a line item for each line in the P&L, and that leads to a really meaningful improvement in the margin profile of the assets.
That's pretty good. All right, so let's look at a couple of properties here. How about the Magnificent Mile, Dave? Did you want to bring that up? Is that what you were saying over there? He's going there now. Boom!
Look at that.
This is beautiful.
So this gives a sense of. So this is a property that's really near and dear to our heart. It's 109 property in the Magnificent in Chicago, and right near the Magnificent Mile at 1 West Superior Place. The reason it's near and dear to our heart is it's one of our earliest properties. We launched it in 2019. It's in an apartment building. This is an apartment building with 809 units. So we are a percentage of that building. We have about 7 full floors in the property. We needed to go through the city to change the zoning of the property in order to allow hotel use. And so we went to the Planning Commission in Chicago. Some residents came and advocated that they wanted this use in their building. And we got the zoning change to allow up to 20% of the building to be a hotel use. And the value proposition for the owner in this apartment building is that they're generating more NOI relative to their unfurnished long-term rentals, and they're doing that because they're attracting a different type of demand. Somebody who's looking for a 6-night stay, a 20-night stay, et cetera.
Right. All right. So how is this? Could you explain a little bit how this formula seems to be working for Chicago, but in New York City they got rid of Airbnb rentals?
Yeah. So it actually does work also in New York City, but you need to have a hotel license. You need you need to operate with the same rules that the hotel down the block operates with. And so that property is zoned now because of the change in the city as hotel. We got a hotel license and we have to abide by all the rules and regulations. In New York City, you also can have apartments as hotels, but you need to abide by the zoning and code. You need to abide by the uses that the zoning.
And specifically, and not to make you bring this up, but specifically in New York City, the issue really has to do around displacing people in their homes because there's too many of these transient people coming in. They're not paying taxes. They're not following life safety measures, for example. All of those things that hoteliers must do, these folks haven't been doing, which pressed New York City to change the rules. But Roman, what it sounds like to me is you understood the rules of engagement and how to compete equally, and then you were able to go ahead and do that.
And yeah, this is a huge opportunity, I think, for the hotel industry to meet a demand that is there. You can't eliminate apartment style inventory when they're traveling. They're going to want that when they travel. So if you can't beat them, better to join them. So you need to make sure Marriott, Hilton, they're all thinking about this. And Marriott's launching Apartments by Marriott. And I agree. If done incorrectly, it's an unfair kind of playing field for folks doing furnished rentals versus those who are not. But if you're licensed the same way, paying TOT taxes, abiding by the same code, it's a fair playing field. And B, it actually creates more. This is the surprising part. It creates more housing. And we're seeing that live because there are developers who are trying to get their apartments built who can't get equity or debt for their properties until they realize they can fill 10, 20% of their building as furnished rentals. And all of a sudden, the bank lends and you build you build a 200 unit building when before you couldn't finance it at all. Now 40 are going to be used as furnished rentals.
Agreed. And Roman, it's like a new spin on multi-use buildings that we've seen. We've seen this a gajillion times. Condos, hotel, street level, retail, restaurants, that sort of a thing for sure, right? All right, so let's go from 119 keys in Chicago to San Francisco, another city people love to bash. But you got a 12 key place there, and I would think, man, 12 keys, that's really hard to make money off of. So what are you doing for these folks over here? And this is a really beautiful place, by the way.
Beautiful property. The developers did a phenomenal job with the design and aesthetic.
Yeah, it's incredibly. We'll use some word pictures for the folks that are listening to our audio feed on here. But it's really, really modern yet warm at the same time, right?
And that collage of images that you see with the woman in the top left, that does not appear like an image when you're staying there. It only appears like that through your camera. It looks like a collage of smaller images, which is kind of a cool effect and good for Instagram and otherwise. Yeah. You asked, I'm very proud about a few things. You asked about the quality, that experience, that high tech means high service at the forefront, because self check-in, can you actually deliver that? That previous property, the Magnificent Mile property, is the #1 ranked property in our category on TripAdvisor. It's got like 105 5-star review. We have 1-star review, which we're devastated about. But that's like, this one is the #3 hotel in San Francisco.
Wow.
So we have a bunch that are #1, #3 across the country, and we're very proud of that. It generates a 63% GOP margin, and we are penetrating a comp set that includes the proper hotel, a real comp set at something like 130, 135% on RevPAR, and so delivering really good results to the owner.
That's pretty impressive. I assume there's no food and beverage there because it's 12 keys in the middle of San Francisco.
There's actually a lobby bar called, wait for it, Lobby Bar.
Sternlicht for creating naming in the industry that's too on the nose.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, I can't. He's a giant. We're still getting we're still growing. But it is. We give people in every room chips to use at the kind of like poker chips that they can go and get a drink at the lobby bar. There's this beautiful wraparound roof deck. This is the Castor District, a very special part of San Francisco. It has no other professionally managed properties, and you have this really jewel box 12-room property that has a great rooftop and F&B and kind of really kind of a hidden gem for folks who travel to SF.
Right. Now, a lot of the major hotel brands out there are very focused on their loyalty programs and stuff like that, right? Which is why they've kind of put together a whole panoply of brands at all different parts of the price points and the desires and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. How are you feeling about creating a loyalty, and what is real loyalty to you when it comes to products?
Loyalty programs are can be powerful, but I think they also can be a substitute for a really compelling guest experience that people want to come back to over and over again and tell the program. And maybe this is cliche, I'm not sure, but it's delivering a really special experience that makes the properties to being a one-of-a-kind location in their city. And we've shown that through the review scores that we've generated. We've shown that through the types of locations that are very unique that we operate, et cetera. I almost think starting too early with a loyalty program, it's almost like a bribe for business travelers who, they book through their company's dollars, but then they get a few dollars in the form of points on their pillows. Yeah, right. And we eventually will have a loyalty program. So we don't have anything principally against it, but we do think we are succeeding without one because of the quality of the product and the uniqueness of the location. We also have this kind of unique thing that isn't apparent to most people, which is that because we're in these apartment properties where we're in some of our properties are those full building hotels, but in some of our properties, we're 7 floors of a 30-floor high rise. Right. We have an embedded audience. We have about 55,000 people who live in the buildings that we power properties in. And we have an embedded audience who stays with us much more frequently than a typical, they're aware because their friends and family stay with us, and then they get special benefits across our network of properties. Yeah,
I just got to jump in and say, if I lived in a building and I could put my family in a hotel in the same building and they don't have to be in my apartment, that'd be freaking amazing. I love it. Please continue.
Survey people who live in those properties, and they tell us that they love having that amenity in the property, and they're actually willing to pay for we give them a discount to stay in our network, and they would be willing to pay a decent amount for that discount.
Nice.
Might in the future.
I love it. Roman, your internet is getting a little choppier as we go on through this this thing, but we'll go on for a little bit longer. I got a question for you. How do you perceive yourself as a platform, as a brand, both? How does that come together in terms of the way you envision the company and connecting with owners of properties?
And I can make the video less high def if it's necessary. So we are fundamentally a manager at our core. We built our own infrastructure, that we built our own property management system in order to really innovate in how we deliver the experience to guests, because nothing on the market existed. And because that experience is very unique, the brand shines through. But at our core, we're a manager that does it more effectively than traditional managers, because every hospitality is hard. I kind of think about it as like you're a duck paddling furiously in the water, trying to manage these properties. And we've built, through technology and improved infrastructure, a motor for that duck that does it much, much better. And we've actually started offering to guests, to our owners, that infrastructure on its own if they have their own vision for their brand. Now, all properties that we power, white labeled in that format, go on Kasa.com, but they have their own aesthetic and feel. And that hotel actually in San Francisco in the Castro is that. It's powered by us, but it's got its own brand and aesthetic. It's maybe autograph light in terms of how it's branded.
Totally. I like that soft branded approach. It also gives owners an opportunity to get into something they otherwise wouldn't have been able to. What else do we need to know about Kasa today?
One question that comes up frequently, there's other companies in the sector that there's a company that's very prominent in the sector called Sonder that has been going through some difficult times.
You told me that you got that San Diego property, right? Yeah,
we've been taking over. They've been going back to their owners. They signed they have a WeWork model in which they sign long-term leases and take and then have the arbitrage above if they make profit above the lease or have a loss if they don't. That model has been tough historically. And so they've been going to their owners and renegotiating their agreements. We've been taking over many of their properties, one in San Diego that we just opened last week. Our model is the Marriott, Wyndham, Hyatt model, where we manage for a fee. That's just really fundamentally changed how we build the business.
So people could understand that was a whole lot of capital expense that they had to put out there. And they are forced to have to sell X amount of space at X amount of dollars to break even. And that made it really, really tough for them to survive. Unfortunately, their stock is down some 98% or something like that.
It's really fundamentally because of that. Because of their lease model, you project out their cash flows, and it's very hard to see them making a profit above the really expensive leases that they made.
And also, let me say, I did stay in the property in San Diego, and I thought it was a terrific experience, and I very much enjoyed staying with them. So, even though they're not doing well financially, I do think that they came up with a concept that was successful. I am looking forward to having the opportunity to stay in one of your places, Roman, because it's just so interesting and so different. And one of the problems that I've been having is I'm a little bit of a Luddite. I'm afraid to use my phone for stuff and not have a key. And I'm always worried it's not going to work. So can you reassure me a little bit on that?
We are not for everyone. So I do think if you there are going to be a few customers who want the in-person front desk. They want, a 5-to-1 of
no, that's not me, Roman, but I do to compare again to the airlines. I have moved from using just the paper boarding pass to taking the paper boarding pass and leaving it in my pocket and then using my phone to scan into the flight. So I'm getting there. you know?
Yeah. So you're like along that journey. I think that you will have no problem if you like Saunders, the experience with Sonder. I think you'll really enjoy the experience with us.
And they were terrific because I was just able to pick up a phone and then I got help.
Yeah, so we have like many redundancies if things don't work. We've been doing this for almost 8 years, and so first it's a keypad entry. So we text you a code. You know, the actual.
That's great right there, because my biggest fear, Roman, is coming back to the end of the night and this bad boy's not working. My phone, you know.
Yeah, so that's one. Two, you know, you can press remote unlock on your phone if you want to. You can also call us and we can unlock the door for you. There also are staff at the properties, and so you know, they can help you out.
Right, and then if I'm calling you from my phone, you already know the phone number. It's in the system, so it's not like you're going to let somebody in who doesn't belong. So
that's right. That's right. Cool. That's right. And this is, you can text us. It's the same number.
We just brought on a text chat feature screen. Go on, Roman.
Yep. I think the slide before this is the one about the arrival experience, if I remember correctly. But this is also.
I'll bring it up. Boop.
Perfect. So yeah, this is kind of, you get visual and text-based instructions. It shows you a photo step-by-step of how to get from your Uber or your car to the inside of the Casa. You see that code there for the stay. And there's also a feedback loop. The moment you check in, we actually will text you, how are things going 15, 30 minutes later, just to see how you're doing. And if you're not doing, if the check-in, you're saying, actually, this room is not great, we will be very quick to respond. Our on-site team will help you out. But in most cases, you know, easy check-in, and the guest prefers that we stay out of their hair. They want to enjoy the city and their stay. That's
pretty awesome right there. Roman, how can we learn a little bit more about you if you know, we want to go ahead and stay with you or have you manage some of our real estate?
Yeah, so we are especially helpful to owners who have properties, boutique hotels in high labor cost markets like New York City, LA, Miami, Seattle, Portland, Palm Springs, and beyond. And so if your properties had an increase in cost the last years, you can reach us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Kasa.com, KASA.com. You can find me at Roman@Kasa.com. So if you reach out to us, we'll respond pretty quickly.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Roman. You rock. I love learning about new things, and you know, you made me feel right at home, or is that right in Kasa? I don't know. Thanks, Roman. Appreciate you for being here.
Thanks.
Also, a reminder, Anthony's show today on YouTube. Go check that out after you check out my broadcast on YouTube. Not on YouTube, on LinkedIn's No Vacancy page on banquets, how you can make more money. Check out Kasa.com, KASA.com. That's KASA.com. And remember, everybody, you know, you've got one life. So lays on. And as Anthony would say, thanks for checking in. Bye, everybody.